George and the other children had been waiting in the parlor. Yeah, that's where we left off last time on Umineko When They Cry. This is episode 18, and, Ava and Hideyoshi are dead. They were claimed on the second Twilight. I was expecting it, though. It wasn't that hard to guess, because, one, the two closest will be ripped apart or whatever, and two, they were way too hopeful and happy. I mean, they talk about, let's go to the Maldives, you know, all that stuff. So, you know, they had to go. Unfortunate, but they had to go. But now, let's see, who all has seen this? The servants and Natsuhi. I think they're the only ones actually who've seen the bodies. Except, wait, let me check. Just for my, oh my god, my mouse is kind of, I think I need to replace the battery. But, okay, yeah, so the servants and Nanjo and Natsuhi have all seen the bodies. Why is this so low quality? What? Oh my god, my mouse broke. It's driving me crazy. Why is this like such a low, why are these low quality? Hello? Okay, whatever. Yeah. So now the kids are realize that, oh, they're hiding something, and they're gonna go check it out. Let's get into this. However, when they saw Genji speak to Natsu, when they saw her turn pale and fly out of the parlor, they felt a sense of foreboding. And when they saw a large group of people gathered around the guest room, they were sure of it. Father! Mother! Oh, what is this? Another magic circle? Maria... Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi are safe. Right? Hey, Kennen-kun, what's this all about? Battler-sama. Kennen didn't have to say anything. George's scream after he ran into the room told them everything they needed to know. Who did this? I'll kill you, I'll kill you. George, hang in there. Okay. Yep. Natsuhi touched George's shoulder with her hands, but he violently shook her off. George fell over beside Ava and buried his face in the bed in front of his mother's face, wailing. Then he pounded on the bed with his fist over and over again. George, my son, hang in there. Battler? Battler-sama. Battler had his back against the wall of the hallway and was covering his eyes with his right hand and weeping without restraint. Horrible. That's horrible. He proposed to a girl he loved and lost her the next day, and on the same day even his mom and dad were killed. Isn't that too harsh? Of course, it's sad whenever anyone dies, no matter who it is. But to Battler, those left alone by the deaths of others were far more worthy of pity. Oops. Everyone here now had lost someone close to them. George wasn't the only one to be pitied. However, George's pain was far greater than everyone else's. Yeah, so all the siblings are dead. Wait. So, doesn't that mean inheritance falls to Jessica now, doesn't it? Since she's the oldest blood relative? Not the oldest, the first in line blood relative? Whatever you call that? Battler. I know, everyone dies sooner or later. If you're human, you'll eventually have to fight the sorrow of losing someone close to you. But still, shouldn't that day be in the far future for Aniki? And shouldn't those deaths visit him one at a time? Horrible. It's too horrible. That bastard. That bastard. Doesn't he have even a speck of human sympathy in him? Battler, don't cry. Don't cry. Maria tried to comfort Battler in a mechanical-sounding voice. Battler violently wiped his tears. Yeah, damn it. I won't cry anymore. Tears of regret, tears of sadness, I won't shed them again. It's all useless. The witches got me backed into a corner. I'm always on the defensive. And that's useless. It's all useless. I'll spin the chessboard around. God damn it. Battler, keep the chessboard stationary. Oh my god. That bastard probably thinks we'll be running scared like sheep until tomorrow before we try anything. But guess what? I'll spin it around. You know what? Hell yeah, buddy. That bastard can't escape this island until tomorrow either. We won't be hiding away, pissing ourselves. That bastard will. I'll expose you. You'll see. By tomorrow? No, screw tomorrow. By today. You know what? No, screw today. By this hour. Tonight. Tonight. Before tonight's over, I'll be gripping you by the collar. Sure. Sure. Yeah. That's totally gonna work out. I can't imagine anything going wrong with this plan. Oh, she has her gun. At any rate, we'll lock this room and leave everything as it is until the police come. No objections, I take it. Nazi announced it as though she didn't care whether they agreed or not. If anyone had a right to object, it would have been George, but he looked as though he'd shed enough tears. George nodded slightly, still facing away from the others. And when he stood up, everyone else agreed too. Nazi still hadn't opened that Western envelope of the family head that she'd picked up. Please open it. I really want to know what this is. I was talking with someone about how badly I want to know what's inside of this thing. But now that they'd decided to leave this room, she decided to unseal it in the parlor, where everyone could watch. Thank you! As soon as they walked out into the hallway to head back to the parlor, some of them immediately felt something out of place, or maybe sensed something strange. Such as... Stinks? Did you notice it too, Maria? Seriously, what's that smell? It's awful. When everyone sniffed the air, they did notice a horrible burnt smell drifting through the hallway, one that none of them had smelled until then. What, like sulfur? I know sulfur smells pretty bad, and usually it indicates the presence of a demon or a ghost or something. So... Beatrice? Demon? I mean, did they mention something like the 92 demons, or... I don't know, it's like a shit ton of demons. I don't remember the exact number. I will go quickly to check the kitchen. I'm sure I turned the flame off. After noticing a burnt smell, it was natural that Kumasawa, who had just been using the burner in the kitchen, suspected that her own slip-up had caused it. Kumasawa hastily dashed away. Cannon, go with Kumasawa. Do not let her be alone. Yes. After nodding at Genji's order, Cannon followed after her. He wasn't running, but as he followed her, he tried to search for the cause of the smell in other directions as well. I think it's sulfur. Stinks. It truly is a stench that makes the nose wrinkle. However, that doesn't mean we could just open a window for ventilation. Nati was reluctant to open the windows in a situation where self-defense was so important. Let us run the fan. I do not believe there will be any need to open the windows. George and Iki, is it okay if I talk to you? If it's about finding the culprit, then I have no problems. It seemed that George had managed to climb out of the abyss of sorrow. After that, all that filled his chest now was the quiet flame of hatred towards the culprit who had stolen the lives of the one he loved and his beloved parents. So I guess that means George has lost the most people, technically. I guess. You know, Jessica's the only one with someone still alive. So, hold on to Nazi tight, Jessica. She might be next. Let's see. Do we get any hints as to who the next person could be? Third Twilight, those who remain shall praise my noble name. Okay. Gouge the head and kill. Well, it's a matter of, is the placement significant to the character? Because I'm not quite sure. Because, you know, could be like, you know, intelligence or someone who's headstrong. But, so the third one, it seems no one's dying. It's just those who remain shall praise my noble. So, maybe the third one is like acknowledgement. Like they realize that it is Beatrice, perhaps. Because technically I'm supposed to be solving this mystery, right? Kind of. So me trying to guess who dies next is part of me trying to solve the mystery. I feel like people watching this are hearing me talk and they're just in a constant state of what the hell are you talking about? Because while my theories sound as of now, I'm probably gonna look back and realize how stupid they were once, you know, the truth gets revealed. So, this... Okay, so this one doesn't really tell me anything either. So, let's get back. The chain for this room was set. From what I could tell by looking at it, I'm positive that it couldn't be opened from the outside. In other words, this was a perfect, closed room. That does seem to be the case. In the case of the Rose Garden storehouse, they might have sneaked the shutter's key out of the servant room. Or maybe they had a duplicate key. I can imagine many ways they could have done it. But this chain is different. Among generally used locking techniques, a chain is the simplest one to create a closed room with. Only a chain will block everyone coming from the outside as long as it isn't physically broken. So does this mean the culprit couldn't have gone in or out through the door? Well, there's a window. That's interesting. Just a few hours ago, I seem to remember everyone making a fuss over how to enter a room without using the door. Back then, we were all losing our cool, wondering how Grandfather had disappeared from his room. The receipt Aunt Ava stuck in the door on a whim proved that the door had remained sealed. And since Aunt Nazi was the only person to enter or exit during that time, she was under suspicion. Aunt Ava proposed a theory about how Aunt Nazi might have thrown Grandfather out the window and left by the door herself. But this door is much simpler. It was sealed from the inside by the door chain. The window had also been locked from the inside, and the bodies had been inside the room. Why does the door open like that? Am I crazy? Or is that like... Oh. 'Cause... Okay, sorry. No. Look. 'Cause that means that the hinge would be here, and that means the doorknob would be here. Usually, if you enter the room from the outside, the doorknob should be on this side, because most people are right-handed, and it's easier for them to open. And it would be the same for the other side. No? No, it wouldn't. Okay, it wouldn't be the same from this side, but... Like, yeah, it's easy to open from the inside, but... Why is the door situated like this? I know it's not important that, the hinge orientation of the door, but it's bothering me, because why? unless this mansion was made with left-handed people in mind, which, nothing against that. I love left-handed people. I know 3 people who are left-handed. Well, I probably know more than 3, but I know more than 3 people who are left-handed. There's just 3 immediate people that come to mind that I know that are left-handed, but I know more. Shout out to my left-handed people. While I'm not left-handed, I acknowledge you guys, and you guys are cool, and I'm so sorry this world wasn't built for you. It was sealed from the inside by the door chain. The window had also been locked from the inside, and the bodies had been inside the room. This time it really had been, without exaggeration, a true closed room. Maybe it's like some kind of like Pink Panther scheme, and there was a hole cut out in the wall, and it's like hidden by the dresser or something. Like, you check that out. That's possible. That's an avenue we could go down. That's right. If you include grandfather's disappearance, 3 cases have occurred, and all 3 times the door has been the point of interest. The first was the shutter. There was a key in the servant room, and if we assume someone knew about that, this can't really be called a closed room. The next was the door sealed by the receipt. However, Aunt Nazi entered that room. So if grandfather had left through the window, or been thrown out, she would have been able to lock the window before escaping. Or, like my theory, grandfather could have hidden until the receipt was gone and left the room later. Basically, this door can be defeated with a handful of desperate tricks. In that sense, you can't really call... You really can't call this one a closed room either. The floor. I know. The floor. Just, like slide up and in. Boom. You're, if there's floorboards, could, peel them. Okay, you know what? Let's keep going. Let's ignore. I'm gonna stop making theories. And now we have the door sealed with the door chain. Finally, we have to give up. The window, the door, everything had been locked. It was a perfect closed room. The first hadn't been a closed room because everyone could be suspected. The second hadn't been a closed room because Aunt Nazi could be suspected. But this time, no one can be suspected. This was a perfect closed room because the door chain formed a seal that blocked everyone equally well. In that case, did the culprit carry out the crime without entering the room? Yeah, no, whoever it was just, practicing their stake throwing and somehow did a little curveball around the door straight into Ava's forehead, and then didn't even even more intense one around the door into the bathroom into Hideyoshi. It's like those bad Tubi movies. If you've seen the clip of the one Tubi movie where the guy is behind the tree and he shoots his gun and whips his gun around at the same time so the bullet curves and hits the chick. Oh my god. Do we have one of these situations? With some method from outside the room? Good point. Even though the chain makes it impossible to open it wide enough for a person to fit through, you can open it a small crack. Okay, well the diagram that we've been shown is a bit more than a small crack. It's like you could fit your whole head through. Did the culprit knock on the door to make them peer out before attacking them? Wait, am I missing? So that would be possible. One, because if they're getting stabbed straight into the forehead, that's like near instant death. And then Hideyoshi, no offense, please tell me he would not answer the door wearing nothing, and then proceed to go back to the bathroom. Like, I don't. Yeah, you are. Oh, okay, crazy, but sure. If Aunt Ava's body had been lying right next to the door, then it might have been possible. But she was on the bed at the back of the room. And Uncle Hideyoshi was even in the bathroom. Looking from the crack in the door, you couldn't even see them, and you couldn't reach them with your hands either. Damn it, it's all useless. I don't have a clue. A very elaborate pulley system that, like... You know, I'm not gonna finish that one. It's so stupid. I mean, I suggested it to be stupid, but... Something was tugging softly at my sleeve. It was Maria. Well, yeah. I'd be a little concerned if it was anything else. Oh shit, she's being all creepy again. Satisfied? What do you mean, satisfied? Battler, since you didn't want to suspect any of your relatives, you made a wish saying you wanted the culprit to be Beatrice. Right? Well, Beatrice granted that wish. Just as you asked, she did something that was completely impossible for a human to make you believe in the witch. And now you're complaining? How selfish. Ouch! Oh my god, did he just hit her? I was gonna say something about now I see why your mom hits you, but I didn't want to say it because I thought it'd be mean, but you're... Oh. You tapped her. With your fist? I tapped Maria, who was laughing unpleasantly, on the head with my fist. Okay, well... Actually, that doesn't really hurt, and like, well, it depends on what part, I guess, because if, you know, if you're going in with knuckles, yeah, that hurts, but if you're just going in with, like, the side of your hand, it's... You need a lot more force to do that, but then again, Battler is on steroids, so... Sure, thanks for granting that wish. That just now is to thank you, and also to teach you to stop laughing when it's inappropriate. More importantly, tell me. There was another mysterious scribble on the door to Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi's room. Was that another magic circle? It wasn't a circle, it was just like a magic diagram. That one had a really memorable and characteristic design, so I hoped you'd at least know what it was. Ouch! I don't know, which is why I'm letting you take the credits. Quit whining and explain. Battler, I don't like when you lock in and you're being serious. You sure are violent, Battler. I won't tell you if you're too mean. Get it? Ouch! I'll stand, stop hitting me! That's the first magic circle of the moon. The what? What does it mean? Like, yeah, no, what does that mean? I'm sorry, what does that mean? What is this magic circle's effect? What does the Hebrew writing mean? The words are from the Old Testament, Psalms 107, verse 16. I don't know what that is. I know 2 Peter 3:8. 1 day is with the Lord as 1,000 years. unless I've been led astray. But that's the only one I actually know. Other than I don't know what verse or chapter or book or whatever, but I do know he wept. But that's also a hard one to not know. Tell me. For he has broken gates of brass and cuts through bars of iron. This magic circle has 2 effects. Ah, I see. First, it can open a door regardless of which method has been used to lock it. That sure is convenient. So you're saying they're trying to make it look like they're a witch because this closed room has a door that can't be opened without relying on magic? And the other effect? When you're blocked by unopenable doors in all directions, it opens a door. By using it in a difficult situation, it gives you a solution you hadn't even thought of until then. Generally speaking, you receive the powers of observation and discernment, inspiration, intuition. Battler, don't hit her again. Beatrice is trying to provoke you since there's no way lowly humans like Battler can figure out how this door was opened. Ouch! Okay, good work, so shut up. Battler, you're getting an attitude with your 9-year-old cousin. Yeah, she's being a little strange right now, but this is her special interest. Give her a minute. Sounds great. I'll accept this challenge from the witch. Maria-chan. Things like witches and demons don't exist in this world. Oh no. Yeah, you know you messed up when George isn't on your side anymore. Someone killed father and mother. I don't know whether that was someone I know or not, but either way, it was definitely a human. Yeah, but how? How did they reach those 2 through that crack in the door? It couldn't have been more than 10 centimeters wide. At any rate, I can hardly stand this stench. What in the world could it be? Sulfur. Kanon and Kumasawa, who had gone on ahead, realized the smell wasn't coming from the kitchen even before they arrived there. That was because they noticed an even thicker wave of stench rising up from the stairs leading to the basement, which they passed on their way to the kitchen. The boiler room. I wonder if there's something wrong with the boiler again. Those stairs led to the underground boiler room. The mansion's boiler was old and in poor condition. Both of them had witnessed problems with the boiler on several occasions, but they had never smelled the boiler belching out a stench like this before. Slam! What was that sound? The thing they heard from the basement was definitely the sound of a door closing. Oh, no, let's not go down there. Kumasawa had phrased it as a question, but she already knew it couldn't be anything else. Kumasawa was so surprised at that sound that her knees gave way yet again and she cowered. After all, at that very moment, no one could have been in the boiler room. Just a few seconds ago, everyone had been crowded together around Ava and Hideyoshi's room. So who caused the sound of a door closing just now? Kinzo. Surprise. Kanon-san. After taking a second to sort out the situation, Kanon ran down towards the basement. Since they'd heard the sound of a door closing just now, and there was no sign of anyone coming up the stairs, that person who closed the door had to be inside the boiler room now. The boiler room had been a dead end. Kanon wouldn't have rushed in so hastily. But Kanon was a servant, so he knew. There were 2 entrances to the boiler room. One that opened to the mansion, and one that opened to the courtyard. If he didn't chase them now, they might slip away. Kumasawa reached the same conclusion long after Kanon did. But she couldn't let him go alone. If the thing in the boiler room was the culprit, an opponent who had easily killed 6 adults in the first murder, then no matter how Kanon confronted them, he wouldn't be a match. Of course, with this argument, even if Kumasawa joined him, it wouldn't change anything. At any rate, after a delay, Kumasawa decided that she mustn't let Cannon go alone, and she rushed down the stairs. I don't like this. Don't do this. At that time, Cannon was already in the boiler room. And it was only Cannon. Just Cannon, no one else. The boiler room's characteristic damp heat tormented him. It had always been an unpleasantly smelly and hot place. And on top of that, the room was full of that horrible stench which made Cannon feel like he was going to be sick. There was no doubt that this room was the source. In that case, Cannon should have been searching for where the smell was coming from. However, Cannon kept gazing straight forward as he grabbed a hatchet from a tool shelf just off to the side of the door. He hadn't stretched out his hand because he'd wanted a hatchet. He'd wanted to grab a weapon. Any weapon. Why? Cannon gazed into the darkness where the naked light bulb couldn't pierce. Then, he answered. Fuck you mean he answered? What do you mean he answered? No, hold on. What do you mean he answered? In roulette, you bet on the number or the colors red or black, vying for a payoff. However, low-risk bets like black and red only offer similarly low payoff. The words coming from Cannon's mouth were swallowed up by the darkness. That darkness suddenly started to swirl, glittering. What? What? Beatrice? Beatrice, is that you? Oh my. It was such a fantastical scene. Golden, sparkling butterflies that hid in the shadows all over the boiler room flapped their wings, twinkling beautifully, and gathered in the darkness, disappearing. Cannon continued speaking, directing his words at the darkness as it swallowed the butterflies up. But as the butterflies gathered in the darkness, they probably, no, they would certainly laugh. Yeah, that sounds kind of like a laugh. Creepy one, But Cannon continued to speak without faltering in the slightest. However, if you bet on something with a lower probability, your payoff increases proportional to the risk. This reminds me of, it's this movie. It's called Run Lola Run. Really good movie. I love it. It's a German movie from 1997, 6, sometime late 90s, I believe. And at one point she is betting, and she bets it all on, I think it's like black 20 something, or I don't know. She bets it all because she really needs money. And I think everyone should watch that movie at least once. I've seen it a few times. Oh, it's so good. Really good movie. I love movies that no, I'm not gonna say that because it's kind of a spoiler. But really good movie. I recommend it. Run Lola Run, or Lola Run, or Rent. I don't know German. Lola Rennnt. Either way, the master called succeeding despite an astronomical risk a miracle, and called the astronomical payoff gained as a result magic. I have no interest in what kind of magic you and the master were seeking when you spun that roulette. But you forgot something. You forgot that in roulette, there's a pocket that's neither black nor red. Roulette has a special pocket called zero, which means that the house takes everything in certain variants of the game. This means that all of the coins bet on the table will be swept up, just as though everyone has forfeit. I set my heart on just one thing. I decided that if Shannon were to be killed and I was left alive, I'd sacrifice this life of mine and bring this roulette of yours to ruin. This isn't one of the Master's rules, and it certainly isn't one of yours. I made this rule myself. I'm not your furniture anymore. I'm the zero on your roulette. Cannon's face twisted with humiliation. It was clear that his defiance against his own weaknesses was being ridiculed somehow. This sound is really throwing me. Cannon's brow creased even further, and a fierce expression that he'd never shown to anyone appeared on his face. The hand grasping the hatchet was shaking. His sweat became drops which slid downward. It was clear that the emotion causing Cannon's hand to shake wasn't just anger. However, Cannon suppressed that emotion. I won't let your words lead me astray again. This is where the demon's roulette ends. Wait another 1,000 years in hell for your next summoner, Beatrice. When Cannon raised the hatchet and tried to dive into the darkness, the darkness definitely sneered. It sneered at that courage as if it were vulgar, lazy, futile, and meaningless. Stop it. Stop. I don't like this getting louder. Oh, fuck me. Huh? Oh, Jesus. I didn't like any of those noises I just heard. I didn't like any of those. Cannon, his hatchet still held aloft, couldn't take another step after that. With a clang, the hatchet that he'd been grasping fell and rolled on the floor. And following that, with a pair of thuds, Cannon's knees hit, left, then right. That hand, which looked like it was trying to catch the sky now that the hatchet had been dropped, gradually lowered, landing on his chest. Then, the other hand did the same. Oh, shit. Cannon, no! Cannon! Stop it! Right there was a handle with a demonic design engraved in it. As Cannon looked down at his chest, the same type of weapon that had been stabbed into Ava and Hideyoshi's foreheads was... Cannon was curled up in anguish, fresh blood dribbling from the corner of his mouth. Stop it! No, Cannon! No! No! And this music, too! Someone tell me what the name of the song is, please. I really like it, but Cannon! It was... makeup too extreme for Cannon's white skin. Stop! Cannon! No! Beatrice, why? Around the scene, the glittering gold butterflies danced through the darkness, mesmerizing. It was a beautiful dance. A funeral march of tribute, ridicule, and contempt for a single boy's self-sacrifice. Cannon had already been prepared for his own death. But although he could do nothing but accept the death he had received, he attempted one last measure of resistance. He grasped the handle of the weapon sticking into his chest with both hands, and gritting his teeth with an acute, unearthly pain, he pulled it out. Shit. Ow, that hurt my eyes. For only a moment, a bright red spray gushed out. It made an unpleasant... yeah, that sound. It probably resembled the sound of Cannon's soul as it was sucked into the swamp of the dead. Stop. Cannon-san. Someone. Kumasawa screamed at the incomprehensible sight in front of her. Cannon! Cannon, stop! Cannon was laying in a pool of blood. Kumasawa's heart was a complete mess. What a horrible fate. He shouldn't have been killed if I had been with him. What incredible luck. If I had been with him, I might have been killed too. As she screamed, her expression was filled with complete confusion, and all of the muscles of her face were pulled up almost as though she was smiling while crying. So... I guess twilights don't even have to occur once a day? Is twilight just a reference to each murder? But no one could have made fun of an expression like this. Or, wait, hold on. Wait, no, the next one was head, right? Hey, Cannon's with us still. Briefly. He's still briefly with us before it's gone. Before he's gone. But... Oh. Gouged the head and kill. So Hideyoshi and Ava were both gouged in the head. Cannon was gouged in the chest. So those who remain shall tear apart the two who are close. So would that still... I don't know what this one refers to, because this one, I guess, would be the acknowledgement that Beatrice could have been the one to kill, but I just don't, because this one matches. Huh. Okay. I'll have to do some thinking on this. Maybe it'll come to me, and maybe it won't. We'll see. So she smelled, but no one could have made fun of an expression like this. What is it, Kumasawa? Answer me, Kumasawa! The first one to dash in was Natsuhi, holding the rifle. Battler and Genji dashed in after her. Oh, Genji, no. Normally, they probably would have started discussing the origin of that violent stench filling the boiler room. But after they saw Cannon, who was lying on the ground as if he were drowning in an ocean of his own blood, the stench wasn't important anymore. Cannon! Answer me! Genji, bring Dr. Nanjo here! Natsuhi realized that even though Cannon was on the verge of death, he was still conscious, so she sent Genji to get the doctor. He's alive? Natsuhi, holding the rifle aloft, faced the darkness in the center of the boiler room and shouted, "Who is hiding over there? Come out quietly. If you don't come out from there, I'll shoot without mercy. We need light. Natsuhi, let's light them up." Shit, oh my god, you didn't have to blind me too. Battler, thinking quickly, took a large flashlight from the tool shelf alongside the door and used its light to cut through the darkness Natsuhi was glaring into. Is it another circle? But the light only shone on mechanical-looking piping in the door. The door had been left open a small crack, and it was obvious that someone had left through there in a hurry. Kenzo? Natsuhi, where does that door go? Genji! Where does that door lead to? The courtyard. Like hell I'd let you get away, you damn bastard! Battler let out a war cry as he slammed into the door. Cool air from outside suddenly rushed in. There was some thin, rough stairs leading up. Battler ran up them, shouting, "Wait! Battler-kun! It's dangerous to be on your own right now!" Natsuhi was also rushing up the stairs, chasing after Battler. They were in the courtyard. The courtyard of the mansion had been built strictly for lighting purposes, so it wasn't a very elegant place. Because it was surrounded on all sides, the air was calm and completely undisturbed, even though they could hear the sound of strong winds. There was only the gentle, sorrowful rain. As he ran through the cold and scattered raindrops, dashing up the stairs into the courtyard, Battler looked in every direction. Of course, the odds of him finding a suspicious silhouette just standing around nonchalantly were pretty much zero. Battler spun, looking all around. He turned again and again. He kept spinning until he almost lost his sense of direction. He prayed that he would see the culprit somewhere in this scenery. But there was no chance. All he saw as he spun was more and more of the mansion's heartless walls and windows. Furthermore, there were two entrances into the mansion from the courtyard, and neither of them were locked. Because the courtyard couldn't be entered from outside the mansion, the doors had been built without locks. He didn't know which one they had left through. He had to give up. Battler pounded the wall with his fist, swearing, "Battler-kun, you mustn't run ahead by yourself." Battler-kun? Battler pressed his forehead against the wall, which he scratched at with his fingernails as he cried. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi. And now Cannon-kun. You killed a full 6 people. And that wasn't enough, so you had to kill 3 more. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi were always kind and fun. I just met Cannon yesterday, but I'm sure I'd have gotten along fine with him. Why did you kill them? Why? Why? You know, when people die, they don't come back to life again, right? They aren't gonna quickly sprout up again like bamboo shoots. Why'd you kill them? Why? Why? Ah! Battler was a boy who could understand the feelings of pain and regret in a person's heart. So he cried with all his strength. Natsuhi, who had always thought of Battler as a frank person, was a little surprised to find that he had this delicate side. But at the same time, she understood how easily hurt the heart of a young person could be. So she held him. Stop! Ah! Quit being all tender and heartfelt. You're just making me feel worse and worse for these characters. I see that's why. Okay, so Cannon really was alive. That's why his thing hasn't been grayed out yet. Or redded out yet. It's alright. I will definitely protect you, George-kun, Maria-chan, and Jessica, considering I am one of the only adults left in this house. As a mother, and as the representative of the Ushiromiya family. Battler, after sobbing into Natsuhi's chest for a while, wiped his tears with a bitter smile, as though he had been like that the whole time, and tried to appear as though he'd cried more than enough already. Anyway, let's go back down for now. Protecting ourselves is a higher priority than finding the culprit. Tomorrow, the boat will arrive. After that happens, the police will come, and everything should be brought to light. There's no way the culprit can escape the silence, no matter how much they struggle. That's right. When the police come, when the seagulls cry, the crime will be solved. But, for some reason, Battler felt a slight sense of uneasiness, as if the seagulls would never cry again. That couldn't be true. When the typhoon passes, surely the lively seagulls will return to the harbor again. I returned to the boiler room along with Aunt Nati and told everyone weakly that we hadn't found anything. We heard that Dr. Nanjo and George Aniki had carried Cannon-kun to the servant room. The servant room had a first aid kit and a sink, and could apparently function as a nurse's office. Kumasawa-san and Jessica had accompanied them. Stains from Cannon-kun's blood remained on the floor. Judging by the large amount of blood lost and the ruthless shape of the weapon that had fallen carelessly to the ground, I figured that Dr. Nanjo's treatment would probably end in vain. That weapon was doubtlessly the same type that had been stuck in Aunt Ava and Aunt Hideyoshi's foreheads. But wait, isn't the demonic design on the handle a little different? There seemed to be some small differences in that part. Still, as far as their overall shape was concerned, the weapons were all of the same type. Tonight, though it had seemed brutal, we left the weapons stuck into Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi to preserve the crime scene. So this was the first time we were able to have a perfect view of the entire weapon. As we had expected, the weapon was not bladed like a knife, but shaped like an ice pick, or rather, a thin stake. And it had a spiral-shaped pattern, sort of like a drill. It looked like something that might be driven into the hearts of human sacrifices in some demonic ritual. Including the handle, it was 25 centimeters long. Let's see how long that is. I have a ruler right next to me. Damn! It's pretty long. It's about, 10 inches? A little under 10 inches. Shit, bro. Yeah, I wouldn't want that in me either. Half of that was the stake-shaped part, which was stained with deep red blood. So, let's see, half of that. a long-ass blade. I mean, I guess it's long as, like, a typical knife, but still. The length of the bloodstained part made it clear just how deeply it must have penetrated into Canon Kun's chest. But Aunt Nazi and the rest didn't even look at the weapon, and instead stood in front of the incinerator where the horrible stench was emanating from. They must have dragged out that thing which had been burning in the furnace. Right now, if I were to say Kinzo is the one in the fireplace, would I sound crazy, or the furnace, would I sound crazy, or would I be correct? I guess we'll see. It was still smoldering and kept sending out dense waves of that awfully unpleasant smell. Genji-san and Maria stared down at it. Aunt Nazi probably couldn't stand to look directly at it. She kept shaking her head, her back to it. I thought nothing could surprise me after everything that's happened. But this is... I stood there for a while, moaning, with a rising urge to vomit. The true source of that unearthly stench was a scorched corpse that had been cooking inside the incinerator. The clothes, the surface of the body, and the hair were all hideously burned. That grotesque corpse was in a state where not the face, nor the age, nor even the gender could be guessed at. But when I thought about it calmly, I realized that a corpse appearing at this time could only be one person. It was grandfather, who had disappeared that morning and whose whereabouts had been unknown. I was right! Wow! Wait, does that sound... Hold on. Okay, he's not been confirmed dead yet. I believe it is most likely the master. I agree that he would pass away in such a state. It's heartrending. But is there any proof that this corpse really is grandfather? It's burnt so black you can't even tell what sex it is. Battler-kun, look at the feet. Aunt Nazi, with her handkerchief over her mouth and her eyes averted, pointed and told me to look at the burnt corpse's feet. Notice how there are... What the fuck? Huh? Okay, weird thing to... Notice how there are 6 toes on each foot? Huh? You're right. Just as Genji-san had said, there were 6 toes on each foot. Each individual toe had looked so normal in its line that I hadn't noticed. The master was born with 6 toes on both of his feet. Consequently, the master was entrusted with the revival of the Ushirmiya family. I've heard that long ago cases of polydactyly were common in the Ushirmiya family. It's probably hereditary. Polydactyly literally means many fingers. Because of a little mistake by God, when the person is born, one of their toes or fingers splits into 2 and the total number increases. But a big deal isn't usually made of polydactyly in the world at large. That's because it isn't a disease, just something people are born with. So while they are still babies, at about the time they turn 1 year old, they can be taken to the hospital and given surgery to make them normal. Even a child with polydactyly can be treated before they become aware, so they might not even remember it themselves. By the way, it seems that there's a possibility for this to occur in 1 out of every 2,000 babies. So even though it's not usually seen, it isn't that rare at all. Speaking of which, I think Uncle Hideyoshi mentioned something to me long ago. Something about how even Toyotomi Hideyoshi, the man who unified Japan at the end of the Sengoku period, had 6 fingers on one hand. According to Aunt Nazi, among the many Ushirmiya family heads, the ones most praised for their wisdom all had polydactyly. Because of that, when grandfather was born, his relatives were all excited at the thought that he might become another wise leader. And when the leading relatives all died in the Great Kanto earthquake, it was apparently argued that grandfather should be the one to restore the family because of the auspicious sign of his birth. If grandfather hadn't disliked his position as the head so much, this 6th toe probably would have been pretty lucky for him. Come to think of it, I've heard about some country where it's believed people with polydactyly should be treated as gods and revered. This is beside the point, but it's fairly common in mystery novels for a corpse to be burned to hide its identity. But I guess that in Grandfather's case, just toasting him wouldn't be enough. And Grandfather's body was not simply burnt. It was just like Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi and the thing that had been stabbed into Kanon-kun's chest. One of those demon's ice picks was stuck into his forehead. The head's ring is not on his finger. So the letter last night was telling the truth. Father would probably be horribly disappointed. So that means he's been added to our thing. Okay, so this makes me rethink everything I was saying earlier. I was trying to get ahead of myself. And he's gone. Oh, just gone. Straight up. Yeah, so they all get... where they're killed. Ushimiya Kenzo, burned in the incinerator with a weapon resembling an ice pick sticking out of his forehead. The old sorcerer's wish vanished before it could be granted. He always knew that this was one possible result of his risky gamble. So, fourth Twilight. That means Kanon is the fifth Twilight. Well, okay, he was gonna be the fifth Twilight regardless. So, okay, so this is Ava and Hideyoshi. This is, I guess, Battler and Maria's conversation about, like, yeah, this is so totally the witch. Fourth is Kenzo. Fifth will be Kanon. So the next one will be Stomach, but I don't know who that could be, or who it will be. But I suppose we'll see. Natsu-san let her head droop and closed her eyes tightly. This room had also become a vital crime scene for us to hand over to the police. Y'all, this entire mansion is a crime scene at this point. It was decided that we would leave Grandfather's corpse here and lock the room, sealing it. It isn't clear when Grandfather's corpse started burning in the incinerator. Since, according to Genji, the strength of the flames hadn't been that strong, the body must have started burning a long time ago. So that stench could slowly creep out of the furnace and fill the room bit by bit, eventually pouring out and climbing up the staircase. Putting aside whether he was rare or well done. Jesus, Battler! Grandfather had been brought out, killed, and burned, even though he had started out locked away in a closed room created by his auto lock. There's probably no doubting this. However, according to Genji-san, the boiler room is usually locked. The possibility that someone outside our group had snuck in and committed the crime was overwhelmingly high, and there was also a good chance that this person was walking around with something like a master key. After all, the doors and windows throughout the mansion had been checked. But despite that, the culprit was able to strut around the mansion freely. Does this crime confirm that a 19th person exists? There's still that contradiction, since they're trying to tout their existence without ever showing themselves once. Along with Kiryu-san's chessboard theory, I've been using this contradiction to deny the existence of a 19th person. By spinning the chessboard around once more, the very fact that this crime makes it perfectly obvious that a 19th person exists means that the existence of the 19th person is even less plausible. As long as that 19th person doesn't show themselves in front of us. If the culprit could get Grandfather out through the door sealed by the receipt, if they could kill Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi from the other side of a door sealed by a chain, then could they possibly go so far as to create a fictional 19th person through strange tricks and devices? If we still want to believe that the culprit is among the 18, then the list of suspects has grown very short. The four of us kids, Aunt Natsuhi, Genji-san, Kumasawa Ba-chan, and Dr. Nanjo. One of these people has to be the culprit. Wait, we can't be sure of that. Just a second ago, we started doubting whether the corpse here was actually grandfather's, right? Maybe we can think of the other bodies in the same way. For example, the first 6 all had their faces horribly smashed. Some of the bodies had kept enough of their faces for us to confirm who they were, but that old bastard, for example, had lost his entire face as though the whole thing had been neatly peeled off. Jesus, what? We only figured out which body was which by their clothes and surroundings. Did the culprit prepare a fake body beforehand and alter it to make it look like they died, even though they were actually hiding somewhere after committing the crime? It may sound ridiculous, but it wouldn't be an impossible trick to pull off. It's too early to give in to this 19th person. No, this witch. Maria-chan, you mustn't stare so fixedly anymore. Come on, Battler-kun, too. I'm worried about Cannon's condition, and we mustn't remain in a place like this any longer than necessary. Let us return. Maria didn't go out with everyone else, but remained in the boiler room. The thing she was staring so fixedly at probably wasn't grandfather's body, but the demon's ice pick sticking out of his forehead was probably the sort of item that an enthusiast couldn't bear to ignore. I tapped her on the head. Hey, Maria. What's Beatrice after? Is it all of our lives? Fucking idiot. Of course not. Beatrice will revive very soon. At that time, none shall be left alive. How can you laugh at something like that? Do you think you're the only one who's safe? Why don't you feel like you're in danger? Why aren't you scared? Beatrice made a promise. She said she's gonna take me to the Golden Lands. It's a wonderful place where you have no obligations, everyone's always together, and everyone is always nice to everyone else. I'm looking forward to it. That time will come very soon now. Oh, Maria, no, don't do that. Stop! Don't have the shadow over your face! Just what kind of person is Maria? I only know what Maria was like 6 years ago when she was 3. She was once pure and obedient. A good kid. This new Maria 6 years later and the Maria I knew didn't seem to fit together. Just who is she, this witch who calls herself Maria? To Maria, who obstinately believes in the witch, this series of unsolvable crimes is proof that the witch actually exists. Every time something occurs that would be difficult for a human, it becomes a little harder for the rest of us to not believe in Beatrice. It must be an intense pleasure for Maria to see her relatives, who once firmly denied the witch's existence, start acknowledging that witch's existence one by one. Is that why she's in high spirits? Maria, let me ask this one more time. You'll probably answer the same anyway, but I'll ask just once more. Huh? Yesterday, you were given a letter in the rose garden. Who gave it to you? Like I said, Beatrice. Butler still doesn't believe. Maria only repeated what she had already said. Maria met with the 19th person, the witch. Was that really a 19th person? Or did one of the 18 just get her to say that? All that's certain is that Maria has been with the rest of us constantly, has always had an alibi, and hasn't done anything suspicious. She's simply overjoyed at being made Beatrice's messenger, and certainly isn't the 19th person. We still don't know what the next letter says, though. The one that was outside Ava and Hideyoshi's room. Supposedly. That's right. I wonder what's written in the letter we picked up in Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi's room. Thank you, Battler. Aunt Nazi should still have it with her. But, unfortunately, as much as I would love to know, this is where we're gonna leave off for this episode. At 8 o'clock p.m. Man, this is insane work. Oh, Cannon just died. Well, let's read that first, and then I'll send you guys off. But yeah, Cannon just died. Okay. Servant Cannon, found in the boiler room with a weapon resembling an ice pick sticking out of his chest. How presumptuous of lowly furniture like that. Man. What? How many are left? 8 people? Oh my god. Yeah, no, this is getting crazy. Shit, man. Yeah, no. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am, because oh my god, this is really good. I'm so glad I'm finally getting to play this game. I know I've said that already several times, but genuinely though, I'm so glad I'm finally playing this. I'm thoroughly entertained. Gosh, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you guys have a good day. Bye.